Good morning, Westside Fantasy Premiere Football League guys. It's Jim, and it's time for another fantastic, or at least adequate, video update. And it's week 9. We've played 9 games now. There are 4 games left in the regular season, and the jockeying for the playoffs has started in earnest. So let's do this. Let's review the games, and then we'll talk about how the playoffs look. Now, I'm going to do the reverse of what I usually do. I'm going to do the game at the bottom of my screen, which may not be at the bottom of your screen, and certainly isn't if you are DeBiz or Ghetto Superstar. This game was a win for DeBiz. It wasn't really close, 129 to 100, give or take. And there was really no suspense to this at all. No players in Monday night for Ghetto Superstar, who was behind by quite a number of points. Well, you know, yeah, there really wasn't any suspense in this one. Jay Cutler, despite getting absolutely drubbed and his team only scoring 21 points, got 54 points for DeBiz. And this is where sometimes in fantasy you look at things and go, what is with that? Why would Jay Cutler, on a day where his team doesn't score and they get killed, do well, quote unquote, as a fantasy player? But anyway, that's the way the football bounces, I guess. And 50.4 points is what he got. Now, also, Frank Gore got 21, almost 22 points, 16 from Rashard Mendenhall on Monday night, and 1 from the San Francisco. I don't know why when defenses get 1, it cracks me up, but it does. And San Francisco got 1 point, but it all added up to a pretty good score of 129.9. Over on the Ghetto Superstar side, things really started to go south when Flacco, who is, of course, Siler on Heroes, failed to use his many, many powers. Not only lost, but also got only 15.8 points, which is not what you want from your quarterback in this league. Chris Johnson, on the other hand, got 28 points. It was almost like these two guys reversed their, their points or something. But the rest of the team was not nearly as impressive. 4.5 from Marquez Colston, 2.6 from Fred Davis, 3 from the Chicago defense, 4 from Mason Crosby. All adds up to about 100, and DeBiz wins the game, goes to 5-4. So, DeBiz is right there on the 500 bubble. Now moves ahead of that. Ghetto Superstar drops back to 6-3. All right, the next game, the Invisible Cows against the Eye. Now, this is sort of one of those sort of locomotive breath type games, the all-time winner and the all-time loser. We have the Eye, traditional champion, and the Invisible Cows, who, sorry, Jake, just having a really rough season, producing consistently, no more than around 100 points, and have had some bad luck. Have had some games where they would have beaten about half the league, but didn't happen to be playing one of those opponents this week. And really what it comes down to is not enough consistency across the board. Jake only came up with 104 points this week. You got an okay game from McNabb with 24. He got a great game out of Greg Olson, Chicago tight end, once again in a losing effort, with 25 points. When was the last time you got 25 points from your tight end? And actually, the bad news is his tight end had more points than anybody else in his team. Mike Sims-Walker, who he picked up on the waiver wire a few weeks ago, got 20 points for him. But the rest of it was just the 1.5, 1.8, 3, 5, adds up to 104. And that's going to be easy to beat for the Eye, who came up with some real. Matt Ryan didn't have a great game. The team won, 18 points, but he had 24 from Fitzgerald, 22 from Moss, 23 from Adai, 19 from Ray Rice, 13 from Mike Wallace, who is also a fine reporter. Neil Rackers, 12. New Orleans defense, 19, adds up to 161. So he was this week's high scorer. So for Jake, unfortunately, that means a 57-point loss, dropping the Invisible Cows to a truly invisible 0-9, and the Eye moves up to 4-5, keeping his playoff hopes alive. All right, Ruff the Passer and Liam Neeson. If you recall, Ruff the Passer was undefeated as of 2 weeks ago. This is his second loss. Liam Neeson has been on a little bit of a tear. 34 out of Romo, 19 out of MJD. That's what I call him. That's how we're tight that way, so I can call him MJD, and he doesn't mind. 12 from Dallas Clark. Adds up to 124, not a bad week. Ruff the Passer only came up with 92 points. Matt Schaub came back to earth in another losing effort. But, had some disappointment from LaDainian Tomlinson with just 3. Roddy White with 2.9, Calvin Johnson 2.7, which leads me to one of my other fantasy football corollaries. Never use a Detroit Lion. Never. Never. I don't care how good he's supposed to. Don't put a Lion in there. Cedric Benson had a good game, 17 points, 15 from Steve Breston, who was a waiver wire pickup for RTP a few weeks ago, so Good eye. And 3 from the Green Bay defense. Adds up to 92. That's a win for Liam Neeson. 6-3. Rough the Passer drops to 7-2. Still in the lead in the Batman division. We'll cover that in a few minutes. Smack Attack 3 and You Betcha. Let's see. This one was the closest game of the week, and it really wasn't that close. You Betcha went into the night, I think about 18 points down, 17 points down. Went into Monday night, I should say, but got a total of 27 from Brandon Marshall and Denver, so there was at least a little suspense. I mean, you figure between those two, they're going to get 17 or 18 points, and indeed they did. Smack Attack got, not bad numbers, but really nothing special from any of the players. 6.4, 6.1, 8.8, 7.5, stuff like that. And unfortunately left Brian Westbrook in the lineup even though he was out. So, had he been able to put somebody in that spot, it could have made a difference, but it did not. Over on the other side, Breeze with a human-sized 35 points. 0.4 from Clinton Portis. Don't make me make a rule against using a Redskin, but I will if need be. 1.5 from Joel Dreesen, 2.3 from Darren Sproles, but 16 from the Denver defense, 11 from Brandon Marshall adds up to 102, and that moves You Betcha up to 6-3 and remains in a tie, not really a tie, but a record tie for first place in the Superman division. And let's see, Bretta is, and Smell This. Smell This is now 2-7. They came up with 109 points on the strength of No Sean Marino's 0.3, Willis McGahee's 0.00000, and some other delights. 15 from the Cincinnati defense. Matt Forte, who Drew chose not to trade for food. Also, I just want to have it be said, he chose not to trade it with me for D'Angelo Williams. Just saying. 109 points. Brutta is had another high-scoring game, 157. 41 from A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers. 13 Donald Driver, 30 from Michael Turner. It's about time, isn't it? Ronnie Brown with 12. Tony Gonzalez with 10. Robert Meacham with 15. John Carney with 13. The list goes on and on. It was a very strong across-the-board week. 157 points. That moves Bretta is up to 5-4. And Smell This down to 2-7. And I think it's fair to say at this point, we have all smelled this, and it is not pleasant. Finally, Flaming Homers and Jolly Rogers. Brother versus brother. Me versus Tommy. Who would prevail? Well, me. That's who. And it really, there was a little bit of suspense. Tommy had 2 players going into the last night's game. 2 Steelers, the Heath Miller and Santonio Holmes. And all they needed to do was to get 61 points for the win. But it didn't happen. They got 11. And I won the game 156-107 on the strength of consistent play from everybody, including the aforementioned D'Angelo Williams, who had another 20-point-plus game. That's how it goes. All right, real quick check of the standings, and I look forward to next week. So in the Superman division, Flaming Homers are leading on points, 6-3. There's a logjam at the top of Liam Neeson, You Betcha. DeBiz follows right behind that, and then Smell This and Invisible Cows are probably out at this point. In the Batman division, Rough the Passer continues to lead on record with 7-2, followed by Ghetto Superstar, who has crawled back into this thing like the Terminator. Bretta is, Jolly Rogers right behind them. The Eye will be sort of fighting for their playoff lives next week against Liam Neeson because they're 4-5. Let's see. We've got Smack Attack 3 playing Jolly Rogers and You Betcha. That should be a really interesting matchup next week. But we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. And it's time to be sharp and think about things like Thursday night games. If I'm not mistaken, there's one this week. So set your lineups early, be careful, think it through, and look for a survival football update on that website. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Happy footballing. Bye.